He has roared with the heart of an African lion. It's a world record. And the first time he's been beaten since 2013.
I don't know what a niggle is. I was afraid it was a racial term. Welcome back to the Running Report, where we give you running news produced for and by the culture. I'm Joshua Potts, and here on RR, we give you the biggest running news that happens every single month. This past month, we saw more world records go down. The race to the century had a little twist, but it's still ending super excitingly. And then we have some countries on the rise in 2020, and I want to go over these countries that are trying to take over the distance scene. Plus, we have our Bell Lab question, which is a question that comes straight from you guys, so you want to make sure you guys stick around all the way to the end to see if your question was featured in this month's Bell Lab. I'm excited. We're going into this new format for the second episode in a row. I wanted to get 2 weeks, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's a month. It's a great video, and I'm glad you're here to watch it. Let's get it. With 4 topics, 4 questions, and 4 laps to go, I'm going to give you guys a little London Marathon recap that happened this past weekend. Now, I know it was super disappointing when Kenenisa Bekele dropped out the Friday before the marathon, but even with his withdrawal, there was still a lot of anticipation going into the London Marathon, as we still had the marathon world record holders in the men and women's fields. Then the women's race, like expected, the world record holder Kosuke stole the show and ran away with the London Marathon win. Her 2:18 is the number 11th fastest time ever ran by a woman, and there was a real big surprise from Sarah Hall, who ran down Ruth Cheptegei, who was the number 4 fastest marathoner of all time, and Sarah Hall passed her up 100 meters to go for a second place finish and a huge PR. Then in the men's race, the focus was all on Kipchoge to dominate the field after Bekele dropped out, but instead we got a real tactical race. It was looking like the 1500 meters at the Rio 2016 Olympics, as the pace fell down to a 2:05 marathon pace, and Kipchoge would fall off the pace with the last 5K, as he had a fully blocked left ear that was really hindering him during the race, and he explained all that afterwards. The race ended in a dead sprint between Shira Katada and Vincent Kipchumba, and it had Katada winning in a time of 2:05. With all of that, I really can't just explain this all by myself. I have to dive deeper into this, so I brought in my brother with the same mother, Aaron Potts, and we talked about this a little bit earlier today. Now I had to bring in that brother from the same mother, the co-host in the Two Black Runners podcast. You guys gotta go check that out. Aaron Potts, Super Hot Potts. Aaron, first off, how you doing, bro? You were kind of in our pre-show last Running Report episode. You were all hype on Bekele. What are your initial thoughts on London before we get into it? Dude, before we get into it, I just want to say, I was very disappointed to hear that Bekele was out with a niggle, you know. Like,
what is that, bro?
I don't even know. I never even heard what a niggle. I don't know what a niggle is. I was afraid it was a racial term when I saw it at first.
Bro.
But that was disappointing that we didn't get to see basically that matchup we were all dying for, Bekele versus Eliud Kipchoge, and like we had a whole video dedicated to talking about that. And in Bekele fashion, he didn't even show up to the race, and when you think about it, we see Kipchoge and he underperformed as well. I mean, I think we were all hoping that he would at least get close to a world record or do something special.
Yeah.
But
there was a lot of great things at the London Marathon. Even besides that, like the event was amazing. The races were amazing. Just what was your biggest takeaway on the men's and women's side, and just in the 2020 London Marathon? What was your biggest takeaway from this event?
The biggest takeaway was, I think a lot of people were definitely affected, by the weather and the conditions, as everyone was saying. It was raining. It was loops, which I thought would make it a faster marathon. But I think the weather definitely affected it. But what I think the biggest takeaway is Kipchoge and Bekele, this was lined up to be the race of the decade, the fastest
race of
marathon
the century,
race of the century, fastest marathon ever. And I think what we saw was a result of them both kind of overtraining for this race, because they weren't just going for the win. They were both trying to break a world record. And Bekele got a niggle, and it doesn't surprise. He got a niggle and he couldn't race. And it doesn't surprise me that Kipchoge underperformed too, because like Bekele didn't even make it to the race.
Yeah.
So he must have been overtraining if he got hurt. And Kipchoge, if you guys saw him, I mean, when I woke up at
3:45 a.m. to tune in, I saw people surrounding Kipchoge, and I was like, this is what we've all wanted. But it also was very strange to see them surrounding him, and he didn't make a move. He didn't look comfortable, and yeah, I think what we're seeing was a result of a little bit of overtraining from both of these guys, which is it's kind of disappointing to see. But shout out to those young dudes that put in work.
Yeah, they showed up.
Yeah, homie that won the race, what was his name?
G.O.A.T.
That dude is only 29.
He's only like 23.
23? That boy 23.
That's 94.
And then the next two places are about 29 years old. So there's some guys that are coming on the rise, and I think when you beat someone like Kipchoge, that gives you confidence. They're not afraid. They weren't racing scared. They're not afraid of this man. And I think him losing this race, yes, he is still Kipchoge, but it's going to make him a little bit more vulnerable because, you know, it's all mental at the end of the day.
Yeah, most definitely, I think.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here for you, Aaron, I also want to ask, I want to dive deeper into this Kipchoge thing, bro. Like, what I really want to ask you, like, what did we learn most about Kipchoge? This is his second marathon loss ever. Some people maybe thought he would never lose in a marathon again. What did we learn about him most from this loss?
We learned that he's human. That's what we learned, because a lot of y'all out here really were like, y'all thought this man was superhuman. Yes, he went out and broke 2 hours in that time trial, but what we also learned is that there's other guys out there that, it's a hot take, there's other guys out there that might be able to do that same thing. I mean, they only ran 2:05 this marathon. It was tough conditions, but I know for sure Bekele could do that with the same, if everything was right, and if you had that same format of a race. And there might be some other guys out there that could do the same. Who knows? There's some guys in there that have ran like 2:03, 2:04. Who knows what they could run if they had pacers and everything. So him breaking 2 hours, it is impressive, but if you put a lot of guys had the same opportunities he had, they would at least run like 2 hours and like 30, 40 seconds. They'd be close to breaking 2. So what we basically learned is that he's not human and that there's other people that are right there with him. He's not that much better.
They were calling him in the broadcast Mr. Consistent all the way through, telling he's always, they were even saying he's still at 1500 meter speed. That's what people were bringing up. He had 5000 meter speed. I ain't trying. Hey, Dina, that's what they were saying in the broadcast.
She was messing. She said he won the 5000. He's the 5000 world champion from 2003. I was like, I mean,
yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting once we get to see Kipchoge back on the roads, because I'm pretty sure he's going to come out there with a vengeance. And then even when Bekele gets back, I think we're still going to see this matchup. It's going to be interesting when we get there. But before we get out here, one more thing real quick, bro. What would you rather have, a niggle in your calf or a blocked ear last 5K? 3 laps to go. We have to talk about our Mondo Duplantis, otherwise known as Mondo Duplantis. You guys have been hearing him all year long and probably for the past couple years. In the month of September, he became the best pole vaulter of all time. At the Rome Diamond League meet, he vaulted 6.15 meters to break the outdoor world record. And then earlier in the year, in 2020, in February, he vaulted 6.18 meters to break the indoor pole vault world record. And let me remind you, the kid is only 20 years old. He is an amazing athlete, and I'm not really a pole vault expert to break in the ins and outs of what makes him so good, so I have to call in the national record holder for Mexico in this event. He's an Olympian in this event as well, and he's the Mount San Antonio College pole vault coach, Giovanni Lanaro, otherwise known as Coach Lanaro. How's everything going in this year that we call 2020, first off, before we get into Mondo?
Well, hey, thanks for having me. First off, super exciting to hear all that news about Mondo. Obviously, times are difficult for some, but we're trying to make the best of it, trying to run a SAC program and, just like everyone else, trying to do everything online and get as much done as possible with our athletes.
Yeah, it really is a crazy time. Like, I go to Mount SAC and Lanaro, he's a leader over the girls cross country team, so I'm able to see like Lanaro every single day. Well, not as much, but every two times a week on our Zoom meetings and everything like that. So definitely, I'm a part of the just crazy times, how it is
navigating the community college life on top of COVID and everything. But besides that, let's get into Mondo. That's what people want to hear. And just what really, before we get into it, we know we broke the world record, so we already did that. But what separates him from pole vaulters in the past? Like, why is he just able to come out the gate? He's only 20 years old to break the indoor world record, break the outdoor world record, and kind of just claim the title best pole vaulter of all time. And definitely when you look at the stats just straight up.
Well, there's no doubt that Mondo is the best of all time, right? Your question is, what separates him from everybody else? And only 20 years old to be able to do what he's done. And I think there's a variety of things, right? But let's start off with just, I think, the obvious. I mean, the guy genetically is I don't want to say the word freak, but he's amazing, right? His father, 19-foot pole vaulter. His father's only like 5'6", 5'7". But if you watch video of his father back in the day, he was blazing fast. And Mondo is fast.
10'5".
Yeah. His mom was also a phenomenal athlete. I believe she was a heptathlete. So he comes from just a great gene pool. But you know, like I do, that genes alone isn't enough, right? I mean, the kid's been pole vaulting since he was, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and has every single age record from then until now. So another thing is time on task. You know, you talk about how much time he has actually spent pole vaulting. And for him, it's not like he was doing it because he had to, right? He was doing it because he wanted to. He had a pole vault pit in his backyard, and it was just fun for him to watch him vault in a variety of styles. You know, he vaulted like Scott Huffman, and he can emulate everybody, you know, but now he's doing his thing. He's the indoor world record holder and the outdoor world record holder. He's the best ever. I really don't see anyone beating him. I mean, yeah, everyone is beatable, right? But if you get Mondo on his best day, no one is going to beat him, period. At least that's what I believe. And, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy.
And then what I was especially thinking going into this year, Tokyo 2020, like the Olympics, as he was getting nearer to the indoor world record, I was like, once he gets to Tokyo and he breaks this outdoor world record, I felt like he was going to be like the biggest news from like the track world, like right next to like Noah Lyles or Sidney McLaughlin and what they do, because Mondo, he's literally just as popular as he is in the States because he went to LSU and he went to high school here as he is anywhere else, to be honest, and probably just all across the world. Do you feel like Mondo can really change how pole vaults looked forever, just maybe from commercials or just advertising or just bringing more attention to the sport in general?
I mean, there's no doubt that Mondo is bringing a ton of attention to the pole vault, right? Just because of who he is, story, and what he's done. To break the indoor world record and the outdoor world record is very difficult to do. And I think for me, as a pole vaulter, that outdoor world record is more impressive than anything. Not to say his indoor isn't, but to me, when you jump indoors, there's no weather, right? You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the wind. But when you do it outdoors, that's challenging. And I feel that's why it's taken so long for someone to be able to do it. But you've had vaulters in the past, like Lavallenie, Stephen Hooker, you know, even Brad Walker. All those guys, and I mean, I'm not naming others, but, you know, it's a very difficult thing to do. And to see him be able to do it so easily, you know, and to see that, I don't know what this guy's limit is. I think he could jump 21 feet, you know, and maybe even more than that. He's just that good and that much better than everyone else. But as far as where he can take this, I don't know, you know. He's super marketable, super nice person. You know, he gets along with everybody from the looks and when you're watching all the meets. And can he bring more attention to the vault? Absolutely. You know, I think the men and the women do a phenomenal job of being good sportsmen and bringing attention to the pole vault, and absolutely having Mondo in our sport and in our event is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. Like you said, the sky's the limit for this kid. Absolutely. But one more thing, I just have to ask you, if you're out there competing against Mondo right now, like you're on the circuit at times, like how would it be feeling to compete against this 20-year-old and he's jumping like so high and everything? Like what would be your mindset going to compete with someone like this? He's only 20. Like it's crazy.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I jumped 19 feet, right? And not even close to what Mondo is jumping. And there was a couple years where I was pretty competitive. But if I was jumping against Mondo, I would hope I get Mondo on his worst day, because then maybe I would be able to have a chance. But look, as a competitor, you don't go in thinking, oh man, this guy's going to get first, right? As a competitor, you're going to go in going for the win, whether Mondo is in the meet or not. But look, the reality of it is that he is just that good. And look, those guys that are competing with him, they're also very good. They're very talented, and they're jumping really
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm outside looking in, and I line all those guys up on their best day. Mondo's just the top of the class, and he's just untouchable. He's just that good.
Thanks again, Lanaro, for joining us here on the Running Report show. Like, we would love to have you more back on and just break down the pole vault and just other events, bro. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me, and hopefully in the future we can do it again.
With 2 laps to go, we have to talk about the NN running team's world record day in Valencia, where we saw 2 world records go down. First, there was the 5K with Letesnebet Gidey, who broke it with a 14:06, and then later on the night, it was Joshua Cheptegei who stole the show with the 10K, breaking the world record in the 10K in a 26:11, looked like a world record machine. It was a really great night with amazing times and in both feats on both sides, but the one that was really surprising to me and a little bit more impressive was Gidey's, because when you think about it, everybody was looking at Cheptegei's. Like, I wasn't surprised to see Cheptegei break that 10K world record. He ran phenomenal when he ran the 5K. He was looking good the entire time. Like, it was pretty much going in. I was like, it's gonna be surprising if he doesn't get the world record, because we're gonna see how good this world record actually is, and it's a hard world record to get, but he just did it so easily. But then on Gidey's side, it was just really more surprising, because Gidey hasn't been the dominant force on the women's side as in someone like Sifan Hassan or even Helen Obiri or even Gazimbe Dibaba at one point. Gidey's only 22 years old, and last year she got ran down by Sifan Hassan in the 10K in that last 400 meters of the 10K at the World Championships. So to see Gidey come out here and run this 5K and run that well, it really shows that the women are getting closer and closer to that 14-minute barrier. And I'm not trying to diminish Gidey's world record at all. Like, she's 22 years old, she broke the world record. Like, she did her thing, you feel me? She did her thing. But I'm just saying, with Sifan Hassan and Helen Obiri and maybe even Dibaba in that race, just imagine how fast these women could run. And it would be really interesting. I don't know if Gidey, I would put Hassan definitely over Gidey like right now, because Hassan has been so dominant, even getting that hour world record just a few weeks ago. But Gidey is definitely a strong contender, and we have to, like, she may win gold next year. She's in that conversation. She's only 22. But we could talk more about this and dive deeper into Cheptegei's. But I want to go deeper into the start list and really just look what's been happening this past month. Because when you look at the top 5 women in the 5K all time, all 5 of those women are Ethiopian. And when you go to all of the other events like the 5K and the 10K on the female and the male side, it's Kenya, Ethiopia, Kenya, Ethiopia, Kenya, Ethiopia. And there hasn't been a real change, but we're getting a rise of 3 countries that I want to go over real quick that really just been on the uprise and are trying to just do new things in the distance ranks. First up, number 3 has to go to Australia, bro, with the trio of Jessica Hall, Stuart McSwain, and Oliver Hoare have absolutely just been dominant in 2020. First off, Oliver Hoare with the On Athletics Running Club, after he just came off graduating from Wisconsin, first year as a pro, and he has looked great. He has the world lead in the mile right now. His season already ended this track season, but he was looking dominant all across the states, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see once he gets racing more world competition and starts racing side by side with Stuart McSwain. Stuart McSwain just ran 3:30 in the 15, and he's ranked number 5 in the country right now, but he has the Australian world record, his Australian national record in the 5K, in the 10K, and in the 15. Like, this guy is literally like the king of Australia right now. But it's going to be interesting once he has the team up of even like a Morgan McDonald, as well as there's more men and men coming up, especially. And then looking at Jessica Hall, like, Jessica Hall is
isn't the fastest woman in the world, but she has 4 Australian national records right now, and she's gotten 3 this outdoor season from the 3K, 5K, and the 15. She has looked phenomenal, and when you look at the Australian all-times list, and when she's just going to get better and better. This is her first year as a pro. She's in the Pete Julian's group, so she has great training partners to train with, and I'm excited to see how she keeps on progressing. Second up, no surprise, is definitely Canada. Canada has been on the rise for a couple years now, definitely starting with Mohamed Mo Speed. He ran a 12:47 this year. He's now number 12 all time in the 5K, and also we ran a 3:34 in the 15. For someone who runs a 5K in the 15 to run 3:34, it's free. That's Mo Speed. That's Mo Speed for sure. And then also his counterparts like Justin Knight and Ben Flanagan are also on the upswing as well, especially Justin Knight, who was in that World Championship with Mohamed last year, and Mohamed placed 3rd in the World Championships, got that bronze medal. But then on the girls side, you have Gabriella Stafford, who's really looking good as well. She was number 7 in the world last year with a 3:54. Now, you know, number 7, that's not crazy, but like the 15 is stacked, and just for someone that is Canadian to be at that level is definitely someone changing the ranks and changing the games of how Canadians should be taken seriously when it comes to world competition. The number 1 especially has to go to Joshua Cheptegei and the Ugandans, bro. And with the rise of Jacob Kiplimo this year has really changed the game completely, as any time now that Kiplimo steps up to the line at Diamond League or World Athletics half marathon, at anywhere on the roads, wherever he steps on the line, he's now considered a contender and someone that can win. He's number 7 all time in the 3K, and more impressive, he's number 12 in the 5K, which really just came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting him to do that at all. And then on the women's side, they have Helene Nakaya, who won the World Championship last year in 800, beating out Ajay Wilson and Raven Rogers. Like, Uganda is on the real rise, and it looks like they're here to stay, especially with Joshua Cheptegei. This man's only like 26 years old, and they're doing all these great things. It's a real exciting time for all 3 of those countries, and just making these separate storylines when you go looking at these distance races even more exciting. It's a great time. With 1 lap to go, it's time for our Bell Lap question, which is a question that comes straight from you guys. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at running_report. And every single month, we're asking for a Bell Lap question, and your question could end up on the Running Report show, just like this. This question comes from Isaac the Guy 12, who asked, what's a niggle? A niggle is what Bekele described his injury in his calf before the London Marathon that made him withdraw. Bekele said in his Instagram post, I was in good shape, but then I picked up a niggle.
What?
In my left calf after 2 fast training sessions close together in the last 2 weeks of preparations. And that's kind of what Aaron was talking about in the first segment. Like, he got probably from overtraining for this London Marathon for just such a long time. Then he picked up little niggle in his calf. Now, exactly why did he use that word? I don't know. He could have just said discomfort. So I looked up the meaning for niggle, and I'm surprised. This is actually like in the Webster dictionary, but look at this. I'm just gonna give you the Google dictionary because that's the easiest one and it makes most sense. As a verb, niggle means cause slight but persistent annoyance, discomfort, or anxiety. So his calf was probably just tripping out, real anxious for the race, you feel me? But then also as a noun, probably the way that he was using it, as I know my grammar, I did get an A in grammar in 5th grade. He said it's a trifling complaint, dispute, or criticism, which doesn't really make sense in this case with Bekele, but as a verb, you're totally on the point. It's an annoyance, it's discomfort, it's something in his calf that didn't feel right. And for 26.2 miles, I never done a marathon, bro, but I've ran 16 miles before, and if I had a niggle in my calf in the first 2 miles, I'm dropping out. So I'm glad that Bekele said this beforehand, that like, yeah, my calf is kind of messed up, and I'm just going to withdraw and save myself for a bigger day where I'm able to actually finish the race. Because that's the problem with Bekele that he has in the past. He hasn't been able to finish races and stuff, and it would have been really disappointing if we got to see the race of the century, then he drops out. That would have just been horrible. Or just afterwards, he finishes the race and like, oh, my calf was hurting the entire time, like Pacquiao did to Mayweather. He said his shoulder was hurt. Like, come on.
I thought I won the fight.
You thought you won the fight? Why?
The word niggle, bro, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just making me feel uncomfortable. Like, say the word niggle 5 times really, really fast. You're going to say something that you don't want to say. Like, And some of y'all probably just said it right now, and you just got in trouble from a friend that looks like me, that you're watching this and you don't look like me, and I should not apologize for that at all. That's on you. That's on you, bro. So I'm just saying, a niggle makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know why he used that word, but it's Bekele. He's the GOAT or whatever. I don't know if he's still the GOAT. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into this running report show. I hope you guys are liking this. I know the last one was pretty long, about 30 minutes. This one's probably like 30 minutes too, but hey, it's content nevertheless. There's more stuff definitely coming here on the running report very, very soon, and I'm excited to really give that all to you guys. So you want to make sure you guys follow us on Instagram as well, though, at running_report, and listen to our podcast every single week, every single Tuesday or Wednesday. Try to keep on Tuesday. We release the Two Black Runners podcast with me and my co-host Aaron Potts. And then one more thing on a little bit more serious note before I get out of here, I just really want to dedicate this episode to Jarek Spino. Like, Jarek, he was a teammate of mine on my high school cross country team, and he died this past week. So this video is in loving memory to him, and prayers out to his family for sure. And Jarek was definitely one of the most genuine guys that I knew like ever. So yeah, really, really, really sad to hear that go, and just praying for his family.